Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? Big news of the day, Russell Wilson traded from Seattle to Denver. Rappaport was one of those who initially reported the news, did explain on NFL Today why Denver was an attractive spot for free agent quarterbacks.
Denver really has emerged over the last several days as a key place for top free agent quarterbacks or top quarterbacks who could end up being traded. They got a good young roster. They got stud receivers. They believe, a good coach in Nathaniel Hackett and George Payton, the GM, who can get things done. Denver was a great spot for Russell Wilson, just pending the full and final approval for him, which is, of course, expected to happen, Tom.
He's going to have a physical, and then this will be a done deal. We're going to go through what was traded here in a moment. Tom Pelissero on NFL Now also, here was his thoughts on the Wilson trade to Denver.
Talks heated up last week at the NFL Scouting Combine. Now, we will see what the final compensation ends up being. My understanding is it is going to involve multiple, likely 2 first-round picks, additional picks, and players going to Seattle. Now, of course, there have been rumblings about Russell Wilson's future dating back to last offseason. And the Seahawks have been consistent in saying they did not have plans to trade Wilson. The only way it was going to happen was if they got a transformational type of deal for the organization. The Denver Broncos were on the short list for Russell Wilson. Wilson has a no trade clause. He is expected to waive it. Russell Wilson headed to Denver.
That was Tom Pelissero on the deal, and we now have more clarity around the deal that's going to send Russell Wilson from Seattle to Denver. And the deal is the most significant. Unless I have searched high and low, and maybe someone could find something that is more significant. We have seen draft day trades where teams have given up a lot to move up in a draft. But for a player, this has got to be the most significant since Herschel Walker. Seattle made this deal, and I want to remind you, Matthew Stafford, the Stafford trade from the Lions to the Rams. The Rams gave up 2 1s, a 3, and Jared Goff. 2 1s, a 3, and Jared Goff. 3 picks and a player who was the former number 1 overall pick and quarterbacked a team to a Super Bowl, but I think they understood that they did not feel like was their franchise quarterback that could lead them to a Super Bowl championship. Okay, so we talked about it a lot when we talked about Russell Wilson, the Saints, and all that possibility. 2 1s, a 3, and a player. I would have been totally good with that. As it turned out, the deal was far more than that for Russell Wilson. One of the largest in history. The deal ended up being 2 1s, 2 2s, a 5, and 3 players. That included quarterback Drew Lock, tight end Noah Fant, and defensive lineman Shelby Harris. So they got a quarterback who has been a starter in the league. And with all of this assets, it gives them time if they don't land on a quarterback in this draft or whatever they want to do. But they have a quarterback who started. They have a Pro Bowl caliber tight end in Noah Fant, a starting caliber player and defensive lineman Shelby Harris, 2 1s, 2 2s, and a 5. The question is, would you have done the deal if you're the Saints? Part of Schefter's report is that about a dozen teams called Seattle about Russell Wilson. There's no doubt the Saints were one of those teams. Basically, every quarterback-needy team made this call. The question really becomes, would you have mortgaged your future to win a championship now? And the way this was done, it almost feels like a Dutch auction where nobody really knew what the other was offering. The Saints probably called and made an offer, but nobody knows what anyone was offering. And Seattle had this in mind, and Denver was willing to pay the price. I look at situations like this where Denver in the past brought in Peyton Manning after he was let loose from Indianapolis. Went to 2 Super Bowls, won one of them. I look at what LA just did with Matthew Stafford. 2 1s, a 3, a player for Matthew Stafford, and they win a Super Bowl. You can even look at the NBA. When the Miami Heat did the deal with the Lakers for Shaq in 2005, it netted them a championship. Now, long term, the Lakers made the right choice. They stuck with Kobe, and Kobe was better longer. But the Heat won also because they won a championship with Shaq and D. Wade. It's really just what's your approach? And for me, I would have absolutely traded the picks for Russell Wilson. Without even a question. Because this Saints roster is built to win a championship. It's missing a quarterback. And I hope Jameis Winston can be that guy. I think they're going to sign him. Hope they're going to sign him at this point. And I think he can be that guy. I think he can. I know Russell Wilson can be. Even in his 30s, Russell Wilson can still be that elite talent. And when you have what the Saints have offensively with Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara, a very good offensive line that they've built around that can keep your quarterback upright, they can supplement through the draft, whatever. Now, if they traded the picks, obviously they wouldn't have that option. But does Russell Wilson on this offense, complementing that Saints defense, which is a top 5 defense in the NFL, does that make you a contender? Absolutely, especially in your division where Tom Brady's gone, Sam Darnold's a quarterback in Carolina, Matt Ryan and a regressing Atlanta Falcons team, which hasn't been relevant since their Super Bowl year. I'd have done it. Because the Saints have won plenty of games. In the last 3 years, the stats, they've won more regular season games than any team except the Kansas City Chiefs. They've won games. Everyone here wants them to win championships. You're not going to do that without an elite quarterback. This would have been the answer to that. And the thing that I tell you is when you go back and look at that that Herschel Walker trade, get this. If you haven't looked at it, if you're not familiar, the Dallas Cowboys traded Herschel Walker to the Minnesota Vikings for, it was, right, here's the deal as a refresher for those that aren't familiar. It was 3-team deal. It was Cowboys, Vikings, and Chargers. Dallas traded Herschel Walker 2 3s, a 5, and a 10. So Herschel Walker, 2 3s, a 5, and a 10. They got 4 players: Jesse Solomon, David Howard, Isaac Holt, Alex Stewart. They got 3 1s, 3 2s, a 3, and a 6. 3 1s, 3 2s, a 3, and a 6. And then 4 players. I mean, y'all, that's bold. Now, they ended up using all those picks, and they finagled and dealt and moved around. And what they ended up with as a result of all of the assets in that by the end of the 1995 season, when all of the trade assets had been realized, Dallas had won 3 Super Bowls, and they ended up with Emmitt Smith, Russell Maryland, Clayton Holmes, Kevin Smith, and Darren Woodson. The Vikings, by the end of the 95 season, only had wide receiver Jake Reed left. So clearly Dallas won that trade. That's not even a question, taking the assets. But what they were able to do with the assets is the key. So in this instance, what Seattle is able to do with all the assets they just got for Russell Wilson is going to be the key. They're going to have to find a quarterback, and they're going to have to hit on one, just like they did with Russell Wilson, who's been the most successful quarterback in the history of that organization and has won more games in his first 10 seasons than any quarterback in NFL history. So that's a big ask to replace a franchise quarterback. But if you're Denver, they're playing the short game. Seattle's playing the long game. Which do you want to play? For me, I look at what the Saints have been for 15 years. They've been playing the short game for 15 years. They're trying to win now. They're not thinking long-term. They're thinking win right now. And you're not winning right now without a great quarterback. Whatever it costs, you got to go get it. If you're not going to draft one, you got to trade for one. If you're going to trade for one, you got to give up something of value. And that's certainly what that deal would have been. Y'all may think I'm crazy, but if Mickey Loomis had this opportunity and passed on it, I think he should have done it. Let me know what you think. You probably think I'm crazy. But I don't know what, but I think fans tend to value picks more. Give me the proven commodity at the most important position in organized teams. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.